Hi, welcome to the Better Mind Center's YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, the Better Mind Center is a group of mind-body oriented therapists and coaches helping clients recover from chronic pain, anxiety, and depression. We are so excited to be with you for our Troubleshooting Your Technique series. In this series, we'll dive deeper into traditional mind-body recovery tools. We will share new perspectives and techniques for you to try during your recovery journey. And my name is Bernice.
I'm Brianna.
And today we will be talking about hope. And I'm so excited to be with you today.
Thank you. I am so excited too. Hope is an interesting topic, definitely. And I had to think about it. It seems like it was so distant from my immediate thoughts. And then when I kind of thought about what it is, it brought up a lot. So I'm excited to be able to kind of flesh this out a little with you.
Me too. I know. I think you're right. I think in general, this topic of hope is so complex of what it means for so many of our clients and so many of our watchers too. It's just, it's so different for everyone in the way that they experience it. But I think at the root of what hope is too is just really wanting a different outcome of something to occur or where they're wanting to place their hope towards. So just, I think, kind of acknowledging, I think that that's where it starts off for a lot of people. And then it really just transforms into something different for that from there too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we don't typically think about hope until there's a question about hope, right? And what am I hoping for? Do I keep hoping for things that I'm disappointed? Is it worth hoping for anymore? Just really wanting to. We talked about looking up, right? Like looking it up, like the definition of hope.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, hope, it says, is an expectation of a specific outcome or experience. And then there was the verb of like hoping. So it's very interesting because I think that I at least tended to think of hope as like a feeling or an emotion. So when I saw that it was an expectation, it kind of made me think about, okay, like being that this is an expectation of outcomes, to me, it makes it a lot more manageable to shift or adjust expectations versus being hopeful or hopeless. Right? Like it created a lot more room, at least for me, to be like, okay, then there's a lot we can do with this.
Yeah, oh my God, a lot of room, really. And yeah, I mean, knowing that we were going to be talking about this too got me thinking so much of just how do I see hope for myself and how do I see that when I'm in session with my clients and just in my life in general too, just how it's just the thing that you can't see, but you can feel. And the power around, believing in something that no one else can see, but you just experience for yourself, is so, so big. And I think around like just the topic of holding on to hope too, or what hope is, I just kept reminding myself of like, okay, when have I held on to hope in the past? When have I tried to hope for a different outcome? And it's usually when I'm at like my worst of any situation that I've experienced ever. And I'm just like, I feel like the worst human right now, or I feel like I'm struggling with something and I'm really hoping for like an immediate change to occur in that moment. So, and I feel like this is a bit of a tangent and more personal, but like I think that it helps to have this how we experience it so that we can also recognize how others are experiencing it too, is having a bit of that connection of understanding that when we don't have it and we're feeling hopeless, it feels like we're pulling at strings sometimes. And pulling at strings where there were no strings. And you're just like,
Yeah.
what do I do? What do I do
Yeah.
here? And wanting help.
Yeah. That's so important to think about. Because as you're saying that, I'm replaying some of like my top 5 like hopeless moments, right? And they're not nice, right? They're not, I didn't want to be hopeless. Hopelessness can be very scary. But as I'm thinking back, like, of course, there are going to be times where it feels like too much, right? I think it's not reasonable to have this expectation that you need to always be hopeful, right? Like,
Yeah.
and of course, we talk about shifting into a positive mindset, and yes, hopeful, like being hopeful is a good thing, but to then put the expectation on yourself that you must always be hopeful, and if you don't feel that hope, then
Yeah.
there's something wrong. Like, I think that's a very normal thing to experience when you're going through something that is so chronic. Right? It is always there. Like, to then think like, no, you must always be hopeful, always be positive. It's not a fair expectation. So as I look back and I'm thinking, yeah, I've definitely been hopeless at certain points in my life. And I was able to move through that, right? Like that episode or experience of hopelessness that's not where it ended. So even when it feels like that, like it doesn't have to be. So yeah, that's super important to remember that we've all experienced this.
Yeah. Thank you for naming that too. I think it's so important as a reminder of we're going to have really hard times in our lives, and recognizing that in those hard times, sometimes we don't have the window to always be in a positive mindset. I don't think that's sustainable for anyone.
Okay.
And I feel like it just, yeah, ever in life, I don't think anyone can actually always be 100% positive. I don't think anyone can be 100% full-fledged hopeful every single time, because that's not the reality of life. You can turn on your TV and see the news of whatever's happening, or these are bigger topics, but just kind of looking at all the things that are happening day to day. And it's like, sometimes it's going to be really challenging to hold on to hope when it feels like there's so many daunting things that we're experiencing ourselves, and a bigger picture of things too. So I think it's just kind of recognizing that sometimes it's okay that we don't have to experience hope in that moment, in that day, and that we can wave a little bit of this personal white flag of like, okay, I'm gonna give myself some breathing room.
Exactly.
Pause.
Like, today's one of those days, right? I'm not gonna beat myself up for not being super positive about what I'm experiencing. In that same thought, thinking about how can we borrow hope? What can we because sometimes we don't have to be the one that's holding the hope, right? Sometimes like the capacity's not there. And what can we do to lean into hope somewhere else that is like outside of us? I think that's okay too. So connecting with people who are your cheerleader, or listening to podcasts about people who are either wherever you're at, if you want to hear people still in it, or you want to hear people that have come out of it, like whatever that feels like for you, like to feel connected, and have that help cultivate some hope for you. So this always, it doesn't always have to be, right? Like self-led. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, I love what you're saying too, because it speaks to just how do we build community, right? That sometimes we can find hope within our community's circle. And that can be through what you're exactly highlighting right now: podcast, other people, family, friends, anyone. a stranger sometimes,
Yeah.
or you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get to know this person at the grocery store. I don't know why I always go towards the grocery store, but all to say, like, just kind of allow me for opportunity for something in someone else is okay too.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, and one of the other thoughts that comes up for me too is just sometimes it can even hold a bit of an intention around what is it that we're hoping in that moment to have or to achieve, kind of reminding ourselves of the bigger picture of what is it that we're trying to achieve on the other end of things too, and breaking it up even into like well not yeah breaking it up into smaller steps that are actually attainable for whatever it is that we're expecting that different change too.
Yeah, and how we can shift, right? Like how there's some choice in this, which can be so powerful. And maybe it's not your ideal choice, right? You want to be able to hope for something and you want that to be what happens. And absolutely, I understand that. And when that's not what happens, like you get to shift and you get to say, okay, maybe that circumstance did not work out how I wanted it to work out. And so I'm going to shift the hope, right? And my hope now is that I can deal with that circumstance that's not changing differently. Right. So that we bring back some, yeah, give your, like, it's empowering or can be empowering to decide that you're going to shift that thing that you've been hoping for, this circumstance. And if it's not changing yet, right? Like give yourself the chance to, okay, let me see if I can deal with this differently. Let me see what I can do differently to respond to the circumstance that doesn't seem to be changing yet. And have the hope live there, right? Where you do have a little bit more autonomy or a lot more autonomy, sometimes in terms of how you respond to things versus an entire circumstance changing that is outside of you.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, everyone has experienced challenges in their life. Everyone. No one has not experienced something. And so reminding ourselves too that we have survived those struggles and that you are resilient and that you have had hopeful changes and things that have changed for you. You're not the same person that you were probably a year ago. You're not the same person that you were 5 years ago. You're most likely not the same person who you were 10 years ago. Look at all these things in which you have survived and been able to get to the other side of something too, and find a sense of empowerment that you are capable of setting some of these different intentions or setting some of these things that are going to be different for you and the way that you're seeing things too.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell my client, you are not the same person. You are just not. You're here. You're more aware than you've ever been. You're learning tools. And a lot of the fear around hoping is that you're going to be disappointed when it doesn't happen, right? Which can be true. And so I have a lot of clients who'll say, I don't want to be hopeful about this trip, right? Or I don't want to plan a trip at all. I don't want to set myself up, is a lot of the language is usually around that. I don't want to set myself up to be disappointed. And I think that is not an accurate statement or experience. Like, I have absolutely not set expectations and I've been disappointed, and that did not hurt any less for me. I just robbed myself of the time in between when that happened and where it started, or the idea to have that happen started. And I just didn't even allow for there to be any hope, right? I shut it down right away because I was like, I don't want to be hurt about it. I was hurt about it. I don't think that's enough. We think it's a buffer and it's not really a buffer. So, that idea that being hopeful is going to set you up to be disappointed. We all know that when something happens that you don't want to happen, we're going to be disappointed or hurt or sad or mad. Not being hopeful about it is not really gonna do what we think it's gonna do.
Right. It's not serving the purpose. You're
Yeah.
100% on it does rob us of experiences. And I feel like as is, it can feel very isolating. And I think setting these kind of parameters or limitations around what we can't do in the future, that's so fear-led too, fear of being disappointed and
Yeah.
recognizing like, okay, that let's try. I know that feels scary, but we're already so fearful of the disappointment. Let's look at it from a different lens.
Yeah.
And let's push a little bit. And I think we can, the more that we allow ourselves and give ourselves that permission to like, yeah, I don't want to create this blindfold around there's not going to be any disappointment. Because again, I don't think that that's reality the same way that holding on to positivity 100% of the time is a reality to life. So I don't want to put a blindfold on you, but I also don't want you to completely blindfold yourself to life and what is out
Yeah.
there for you. So I'm going to push and gently nudge and nudge some more into look at the things that you want to do for yourself. What are the things that you want to like? Do you want to go to the park and walk for 30 minutes? Do you want to go hang out and sit at a restaurant with a friend for lunch? Like looking at all these things and instead of immediately gravitating towards, I'm not going to do that or I'm not going to do anything, and I'm going to challenge that more into, could there be a potential, can we say maybe first?
Yeah.
And let's see how that feels.
Yeah.
And then let's just continue to dip our toe into some of these things so that we don't rob ourselves of these experiences.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
You know, I feel like in general, the topic is so nebulous and one in which we can, I think, just overall make, hold space around, it's not easy. And I recognize that. And I know that you certainly recognize that too. And so just allowing for exploration around, intentions that we want for ourselves. Even if we're just doing that, the curiosity around that or the desire for some sort of connection too, if we start there, I think that can be so, so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure we can talk about this forever. Like we can probably talk about anything forever.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I just kind of want to recognize maybe there weren't like specific techniques that we were giving today.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay.
And
right?
that is okay too.
You don't need to know how to hope. You already know how. You know how and you know how not to. And both are okay.
Yes, exactly. And not everything has to be a homework assignment.
Right. Yes. Yes, for that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brie, for being with me today.
Thank you for being.
And thanks for everyone for joining us. If you are looking for one-on-one support or would like to stay connected, please reach us at bettermindcenter.com or at better.wit.christy on Instagram, or subscribe to our channel to watch other videos. The links will also be down below. Until next time. Bye.